This video is a look at one of Aidan Hutchinson's most explosive or productive pass rush moves, and it's his inside spin move. I've got three versions of it here to talk about, one play each from 2023, 2024, and 2025. I'm trying to show a little bit of a progression in his stance and how things look different this past year. This is 2023 film. Obviously, there's a couple of different versions of this move that he utilizes, and I find that with some of the elite pass rushers, not just in the NFL, but college football as well, they've got different versions of the same move. So this particular one, he's getting off the football from a three-point stance, outside hand down to start, it should be mentioned. And then he's flashing the hand. He's flashing the inside hand for the tackle to get his hands out to, basically forcing the tackle to react. And then on the spin, he's going to have reduced surface contact area. So you can see the hand, the inside hand is flashed up at the same time that the outside foot is planting in the ground, preparing him to be able to spin. And the tackle, like I said, has later hands in this rep. He wasn't getting out to Aidan Hutchinson first. It should be mentioned as well that it's a five-man pass rush scheme. You got five potential rushers. I just like the fact that his spin is so decisive, in particular to the inside. But here he's not chopping down necessarily on the outside hand. And the next two versions of this, you'll see that he is chopping down with the inside hand, or with the inside hand on the outside hand of the tackle, excuse me. But one thing that I want to mention that I noticed in week 1 of 2025 was a difference in his stance, and I think it really helps this move specifically. I'm talking about him being in more of a 4-point stance, lower to the ground. The reason for this video, it might seem random to you right now, is I'm in the middle of what I would consider to be a season-long film study on multiple players for the Ravens, Lions, and the Seahawks. In this case, it's Aidan Hutchinson, and I wanted to do a standalone video on this spin move for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm having a heck of a lot of fun using the Once Sports Analyser program, to be honest with you. It's what allows me to put the graphics on the screen and, what I consider to be a professional telestration atmosphere, number one. Number two, this video, I guess you could consider it a preview. And it's, again, this is 2024 film, so one play from each of the last 3 seasons. And this is just a tactical mistake by Arizona, in that the running back is inserting through the B gap, but you see he's in a 3-point stance. Now the inside hand is down. So on the previous play was the same hand, the left hand down, but he was on the left-hand side of the defense. Now he's on the right-hand side of the defense, the left hand is still down. In any case, I prefer the 4-point stance, and you'll see why here in a moment. But this might be my favorite version because of the angle view that we get. It's behind the offense, and it gives you an idea of how clean and efficient this move actually is, and how much he's, really destroying the posture of the tackle, who, just was caught off guard by the timing. It ends up being a sack. The third one that I show you here in a moment from 2025 won't be a sack. What I'm talking about is the differential timing that he can offer with the same move. So you have the version of this move where he's just flashing the inside hand, the first play that I showed you here, and then this one where you're getting a more dedicated or a more precise chop down with the inside hand, and the tackle's posture gets totally broken. It gets him all messed up. In fact, his foot ends up flying up in the air. I'm talking about the tackle's foot. So it's a devastating move, in my opinion, that he seems to go to in the second half more often than not. Again, there's different versions of the move. I actually talked about that a little bit when I was doing draft previews, or talking about players, I should say, in that the best edge rushers, or some of the best edge rushers, they don't just have one spin move or one outside rush. They got multiple versions of it. And look, there's definitely some losses on his spin move sometimes where he gets locked up. Maybe I'll show some of those in the longer version of this. I just love the fact that on these inside spin moves, he's aggressive, committed to the pass rush. More often than not, it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8, those obvious passing situations. Another really great angle, if you ask me, of how he goes into attack mode. This is the Week 18 win, tough road win against the Bears in 2025. You can see he's in a 4-point stance. I think it works for him for a variety of reasons. His size, 6'7", his length, his speed, his ability to get off, but it also changes his aiming point, I think, makes his aiming point more out in front as opposed to perhaps popping up in the air somewhat. But in any case, this is against Benedette, who I don't think that he's going to be a starting tackle for the Bears or anyone else in 2026, to be honest with you. He's, in fact, I think third on their depth chart at this point in time in the offseason. The running back path is going to take this inside linebacker, Rodriguez, out of the play. Why do I mention that? Because the running back isn't helping on Hutchinson. There's so many reps from 2025 where he's getting chipped by a running back, a tight end, and those tackles are really helped out a ton. I don't think Hutchinson's chop here is as powerful as maybe it was going to be in the previous rep from 2024, but it's the spin, the quickness that really leaves 79 behind. And, he's there late, or he's there after the ball is thrown. Obviously, the ball hasn't arrived yet. You're given, this type of grace period as far as time in the NFL. Sometimes they call it, sometimes they don't. I don't think that this one's necessarily warranted. It's the spin move that we're talking about. I think it's electric. It's a lot of fun to watch. And to me, it's pre-planned more often than not. I do think there's some times where he's spinning because he's adjusting to the type of pass protection that he's seen, essentially the chip that he may or may not get. In this case, the running back doesn't chip, and you can see oftentimes you're getting, the inside hand. Once he spins, I'm referring it to the inside hand. It's his actual right hand. So from alignment standpoint, pre-snap, his right side is to the outside. But once he spins, I'm referring to that as his inside hand because it's closest to the tackle. That allows him to clear, and then his next step with the left foot, going to try to gain some ground and stay as balanced as possible to the quarterback. It's a great move in my opinion. The 4-point stance is something that I will talk about at length, and I will actually have some comparison to 2023 and even 2024 film. I think extremely highly of Aidan Hutchinson. I'm going to be honest with you. I want to get this out there. I guess now, I think he starts for pretty much every team in the NFL. For a variety of reasons. There's a lot of guys who can only play from one stance, whether it's a 2-point stance, a 3-point stance, a 4-point stance, if you will. Hutchinson is good in any of them for real. This, like I said, this video considered a preview of a longer film study that I hope to have out, maybe a week or so. The 4-point to me gets more of his weight out in front of him. Sometimes during the course of a game in 2025, he adapted it. Like, if he had a tight end or 2 tight ends to his side, he's in more of a 6 technique, but he'd be inside hand heavy in those situations and a little bit more balanced with his feet. So what I would consider almost a flat read and react type of stance, squared up, if you will. To me, this just illustrates that he knows what's working. I think the 4-point stance actually helped the spin move because it helps him gain ground a little bit quicker after the snap and attack those tackles maybe sooner than they thought it would occur. I want to talk about some stats real quick. I don't really enjoy quoting stats, but this is one that I think is interesting. For being a guy, 6'7", 270, 275, whatever it is, he now has 43 sacks in 56 games played. Right, he's got great pursuit, his range of mobility, his range of coverage, as far as the area of the field that he can cover in the run game especially, but trying to track down quarterbacks I think is exceptional. For the number of games played and sacks, that's 0.76 sacks per game. The career sack leader in the NFL, I'm talking about for all-time leader for sacks in the NFL, is Bruce Smith of the Buffalo Bills, and he had 200 sacks in 279 games played, so 0.71 sacks per game. So below the number that Hutchinson has illustrated or achieved or produced in 4 years. Reggie White, right, another legend, 0.85, which is ridiculous. Reggie White actually had, I think, 15 or 16 sacks, not in the last year that he ever played, but in his next to last year, age 37. Then he retired and came back for a year in Carolina. I think he still put up 6 sacks. But Von Miller, to use a more modern guy, 138.5 sacks. Just over 200 games played is 0.68 roughly. I think you may actually round it up. Hutchinson has missed out on, or he did miss out on, most of the season in 2024 when he was off to just a torrid start, right? 7.5 sacks and 17 quarterback hits in only 5 games before the injury suffered against the Cowboys. He's an all-pro caliber player, if you ask me, every season. I hope you appreciate the serious look as a Lions fan. I haven't even mentioned the other statistical designations he's got through 4 years. 8 forced fumbles, 5 interceptions, 13 PDs. I hope to do justice to what Hutchinson has put out there on NFL field statistically and on film, I guess I should say, when I get the longer version done. This was just what I wanted to focus on in a shorter, quicker video that talks about what I think is one of the best moves in the NFL, and that's his inside spin move that he has at least 2 versions of that can be borderline unstoppable in the right situation. Appreciate you guys' time.